here at the Unilorin Counselling and Human Development Center, UCHDC, and we'll be meeting with the director of the unit. Do you have any concern? Feel the need to talk to someone? See a counselor today, and you will regret you did.
Professor Irene Abiodun Durisharu, the Professor of Guidance and Counseling and the current Director of the University of Unilorin Counseling and Human Development Center. Well, let me say that I also finished from this university exactly 40 years ago. I belong to the very first set of students that graduated in 1979, and that makes me a part and parcel of you, and that's why I'm always happy to interact with students at every opportunity that I have. I was once the head of the Department of Guidance and Counseling when this unit was established, and that was in 2010. When the Senate of the university approved its establishment. As the head of the department, I wrote a proposal for the establishment of the University of Unilorin Guidance and Counseling Center, because prior to that period, it was the Alumni Association that was operating on a skeletal basis concerning guidance and counseling. And by 2011, Senate changed the name of the center to Unilorin Counselling and Human Development Center, as stipulated by the NUC, that is the National Universities Commission. This is the Unilorin Guidance and Counseling and Guidance and Human Development Center. This unit, like we said, was established by the Senate of the university, and the main aim is to assist people in the university, that is, staff and students, but particularly students, and particularly undergraduates, to achieve their basic goal in the university. And in achieving their basic goals, we deal with their emotional, psychological, educational, and even career aspirations. The goal aims at, the center aims at alleviating problems among students, trying to see how students can study, and study in the sense that most of the problems that are around in the society are alleviated among our students. Because we already know that the university is a miniature society, so whatever problems that are going on in the society are part of the problems that students too undergo within the university. But majorly for us in the center, we see to the academic, that is, educational aspirations of the students. Since the establishment of this center, students have been informed that there is a center called Unilorin Counseling and Human Development Center. And like the name implies, counseling, and students always want to, with their inquisitive minds, wants to see what is going on in the center. So students have always been coming. During orientation too, staff has been involved in the program of orientation for new students and The center has always been on board there, and because of this, students have always been coming. And we also want to thank the vice chancellors that we've been having, especially the last but one. The former vice chancellor inaugurated a scheme, and that is the scheme of hope, stream of hope scheme, whereby we stream of hope, whereby we give loans to indigent students and they pay back within 3, 4, 5, 6 months. When the new vice chancellor also came on board, he also felt the need for a continuation of this, and he approved that we continue to give loan to students. And indeed, this has been very, very helpful. This has always been making students to come here. Also, when you talk about the issue of transfer, withdrawal, and so on from the university, students always come. And we also receive students that have challenges in terms of emotional well-being. Students come here, and most times our counselors are always on ground to attend to students. Actually, we've been having students coming here most of the times. And even staff do come, because we deal with educational, marital, social, and all forms of problems that an individual can have. And that is guidance and counseling for you. We've always been having programs emanating from the center. There was a time we invited all level advisors for a program in the auditorium, just to let them know the importance that is attached to their duty as level advisors, how to interact with students, and so on. We are also planning to have a program for students generally, especially these days when we talk about sexual harassment and the likes. But lately, we shifted attention to the issue of suicide, because we discovered that students are breaking down emotionally. And when this happens, we want to look at some of the things that are responsible for this. We have discovered that failure in classes has been a major strong factor. And what can we do to prevent failures? So we are trying to mount a program on how to study habits within the university system. In those days when you have matured students on campus, many students in those days used to plan their life. But we now discover that adolescents are more among students than men and women, like we used to have in the university before. And when you have adolescents, there should be programs to assist them. So we are planning to do something on how to study and how to study effectively. When we talk about study habits, we will discover that issues concerning failure may be eradicated in the university. When students passes their exams, there will be no case for them to try to maybe see the hopelessness of life. And in most cases, when you talk of emotional problems, lack of money to use on campus, lack of money to eat, emanating from indigent students, may all be eradicated because of the stream of hope scheme that we have. But majorly, the program that we are planning now has to do with suicide and study habits. We have those two programs that are likely to come up within the next 1, 2, 3 weeks. We are just waiting for the matriculation to be done so that we will know the real students on campus. As soon as we do the matriculation, the two programs will come on board. Ask students to prepare for exams. You are indirectly telling them how to reduce stress, emotions, and so on during the exams. That is, preparing for exams has to do with how to maintain emotional balance during the examinations. Exams don't come from the blues. Dates for exams has been stipulated, but when there is no preparation towards the exams, by the time it comes, the individual becomes jittery, and that is when you develop stress and tension and so on and so forth. But by the time we allow students to prepare, let them know that you have 3 weeks to the exams, 4 weeks to the exam. In fact, from day one, you plan to study. That has to do with study habits. When you have a very good study habit and you are not distracted, most of the times you discover that students are distracted until a day to the exams, when they become overwhelmed with the volume of work that has not been touched and you have to start running helter-skelter. But we can alleviate this if we plan to study early enough. If you have a very good study habit, know the time to play, know the time to work, and know the time to, face your studies squarely. Examinations are inevitable. It is natural you have exams. Without exams, you cannot go to the next class. And if you don't go to the next level, you cannot graduate from the university. So students should know that exams are something they have to live with. And you don't have to fear exams. You don't have to start running helter-skelter during examination period. This is part of the reasons why we call this place, any university, a tertiary institution. Tertiary in the sense that you already leave the primary level, the secondary level, and you are in the final level. And at this point, relationships are welcomed. The only unfortunate part of it is that when they are wrongly targeted, you have problems. The university is a place where you can meet with your spouse. But these days, like I said earlier, you have children in the university, adolescents in the university. And for adolescents to start talking about relationship, there could be problems. And that is why, for me, I don't encourage that in the university these days, especially considering the ages of the students. It's obvious someone who is 18 years old and in 300 or 400 level is not going to marry the following year. It's natural, it's obvious. And if that is the case, then the issue of relationship should not be pronounced. In those days when you have very mature students on campus, you can pronounce it because as soon as they leave the university, they start working. But these days, with the economic downturn in the country, you don't talk of getting a job immediately you leave the university. Some people have stayed 3, 4, 5, even 6, 10 years without getting any job. And do you want to have a wife or a husband and the two of you will not have anything? So one should be careful, very, very careful. Although it's natural, and at this level it comes up. But because of the ages involved, we want to be very, very careful. Especially ladies. Ladies should open their eyes now, shine their eyes, and make sure they are not being fooled. The issue of abortion, cohabitation, and so on should be, written off at this level. Written off at this level. And that is when you can know that you are matured. If you are not matured, somebody can fool you. But if you are matured, you will not have a boyfriend who will, because of a bottle of coke, lure you into unlawful sexual intercourse. Because let's go to item 7, and for a plate of rice, you now follow a boy to the hostel, or you go from there to the town. I mean, one should be careful, and even boys too. In terms of relationship, you look at yourself, you discover you don't have anything. So what form of relationship are you going into? If you can keep yourself, fine. But if you cannot keep yourself, it's foolishness to go into any form of relationship and start aborting, start using condom from the university, and after about 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you are out of the university, that person is not marrying you again. Where do you want to keep your face in the society? And students too, especially ladies, should be careful in terms of having relationship with lecturers or staff in the university. If you look at the lecturers, many of them are married. Do you want to become second, third, fourth wife? So you have to be reasonable. Students must be very, very reasonable. At this level, you shouldn't allow anybody to, fool you. Some undergraduates, even at age 17, a male having 2 or 3 girlfriends. I mean, you want to consider this as, mere waste of time. Because you talked about examination problems the other time. How will you be able to study if you are keeping dates and so on and so forth? All I'm saying is, it's good to have friends, but not more than that level. Deep relationship at this level is suicidal. Very, very suicidal. And I don't think students should go into that. Many of the students on campus are less than 20 years. And none of them will marry the following year, or even while in the university. So the issue of unwanted babies, unwanted pregnancies, and so on and so forth could be eradicated if we are careful in having relationships. Actually, my advice will be threefold. We want to look at the individual within the university system. Am I a staff? Am I a student? What am I in the university? So by the time you answer this, you get yourself focused depending on your answer. If you are a student, you become focused. Why am I here? Number one, who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I here? How can I contribute my quota? And what do I want to achieve from this place? For students, you already know that your main goal is to have your certificate, have a meal ticket, so that at the end of the day you go out with something. If you are not focused, you'll be derailed. And that is why we discovered that some students, instead of going to the library, follow their colleagues to buy pepper soup, to drink in town, to do all sorts of things. That is someone who is not focused. But when you are focused, you withdraw your timetable, your study period, you know when lectures begin and when lectures end, when to go and eat, when to go and study, when to go to the library, when to do private reading. If you can achieve this, then you are assured of success. In line with the mission and vision of the university, the students on campus are to be trained to be able to earn a meal ticket. And all efforts have been put in place to achieve this. But if the individual is not focused, then there will be problem. Secondly, for students, lately we discovered that sexual harassment has been common and rampant on campuses, various campuses, not only in this university. We now found out that the mode of dressing has a lot to do with this. And that is why this university is seriously concerned about dress code. When students dress indecently, they expose themselves to harassment. And I want to advise staff too. Some lecturers see female students as bush allowance, like teachers in rural areas. Once we realize why you are here and what your focus in life is, you will not want your image to be tarnished because of harassment to a girl. We have been talking to some staff that you know are always involved in this, and I believe with what happened to there is this professor at the University of Ife that was caught. The case became a celebrated case, and up till now he's still suffering. The family is suffering, everybody around him is suffering because of the aftermath of what happened to him. So everybody is now gaining consciousness as to that. And once you can live with integrity, integrity is the watchword. As a student, you should have integrity. Don't involve yourself in examination malpractice or whatever indecent behavior that can tarnish your image. Somebody said, all through my university days, I never knew where the security post was. Fine. Although as part of the orientation, students should be taken to all these places. But because that person did not get himself or herself involved in any disciplinary acts, he did not know where they were. So as students, as staff members, as a male, as a female, I want to advise that we know what we are doing, and the fear of God should be our watchword. Integrity and the fear of God. With all this, I believe God will be on our side and will be able to excel in life.